Hey everyone, welcome back to Today in Tech. I'm Julia Boship and I'm here with Macworld Executive Editor Michael Simon, as well as Computer World Executive Editor Ken Mingus. We are live on Computer World LinkedIn, as well as the IDG Tech Talk YouTube channel. So if you have any questions or comments while we're chatting, please feel free to chime in and we will do our very best to, respond to your comment, answer your question. So after weeks of the kind of will they, won't they about an Apple spring event, we have an answer. And they will, on April 20th, have the spring loaded event. So obviously, this kind of feels like it kind of just came really short notice. Is this little of notice typical?
That's pretty quick, right, Mike?
A week is standard. The little notice was that we had all but written off a spring event because we didn't think it was going to happen. I was prepared for a press release, an iPad Pro press release or whatever they were going to release, because it seemed as though the spring event ship had sailed, weeks ago. Yeah. Apple doesn't usually have April events.
It's interesting too how this leaked out. Siri blew the cover, supposedly. Now, do we think that's real? I mean, don't we think Apple sort of let that happen?
I think so. I think Apple put that out there knowing somebody would find it, knowing somebody would hype it up. I mean, they don't need the attention in the games, but I do think they enjoy them. And I think for sure somebody hit that trigger at midnight, whatever it was. And because it wasn't on every phone. Apple didn't scramble to remove it once it hit the news.
No, they just sent out the release.
Right. So they sent out the release at normal at 12 o'clock on Eastern. Mm-hmm. And I think they had a little fun with it.
A little wink and a nod.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was just going to say, we're assuming that Apple's not coming out with Apple Springs, right? So spring is just spring forward, spring like it's
spring loaded.
Yeah,
spring forward. They
did
have a spring forward event at some point, didn't they?
Okay.
Didn't they have something like that?
I think they did. It rang a bell. The first thing I thought of was spring forward. Yeah.
Yeah, no mattress, like spring mattress, no slinkies. But I mean, that begs the question, what is actually coming at this event? I know it's all rumored, all alleged, but what can we all expect? iPad Pro is the biggie, right?
Yeah, just to follow up on that, this is 2021. No, I know. Yeah, okay. I know what you were in.
Michael, you haven't lost the thread already, have you, buddy?
In 2015, there was a spring forward event.
Okay.
And let's see, just for the fun of it, Ken, if you want to talk, I'm going to look up to see what they announced at that event.
You keep looking it up, and I'll start out on what we think is coming, because of course we know all here. As you said, Juliet, obviously iPad Pros, and I don't think we're looking at a major redesign. Apparently, again, rumor mill, usual caveats, but apparently the big change, if it's coming, would be the use of mini LEDs for the screens, and which I'm really curious to see, because it's supposedly definitely better than what's in the iPad Pro models now. And I've got one. Those screens are great as they are. Supposedly this will be better for color contrast, and is sort of closer to an OLED screen. So that may make it excuse me, may make it even better in terms of the visuals, video, photos, etc. There is some talk that because it's going to be somewhat limited in terms of using those screens, that the mini LEDs might be just the 12.9-inch model rather than others. There's also talk that the iPad mini, which I think has been around in its current status too long, is going to get a refresh and an update. So it certainly seems like the iPad is the big product coming. I'm not really expecting an iMac. It'd be nice, an M1 based iMac. I certainly, everything I've seen based on the supply chain talk is that the laptops we've been talking about and chewing over ever since the M1s came out last fall probably have been pushed for sure into the latter part of the year. So, in terms of hardware, iPad Pro, I guess Apple TV, there's been a lot of talk about that. Well, of course, the new remote, remember?
Because I hate the other one.
Yeah, the one that you can't turn, or you can't tell in the dark whether you've got it forwards or backwards. And so there will be enough things there. I guess the question I have is, are we actually going to see AirTags finally? Michael, any thoughts on those?
Yeah, give me a second. First,
Okay.
let's look back to.
I tried to drag it out as long as I could, Michael.
Yeah. So in 2015, there was an event. It was on March 9th.
Okay.
That was when we got our not our first look, but our when Apple kind of launched the Apple Watch. So they told us about the pricing, about the battery life, when the pre-orders were going to be held, and a lot more information about it. They had previewed it at the iPhone event the prior year, and it was, basically an overview. Like, here's the watch, here's what it looks like. And so at this event, we got a lot more specifics. They also came out with the new 12-inch MacBook, which, if anyone ever hated the butterfly keyboard, that's when the butterfly keyboard made its debut with that model. So that's something of a dubious date in Apple history.
Hopefully they're not looking to recreate something like that this time.
Yeah, right. And then also they dropped the price of the Apple TV from $99 to $69. So those three things made up an event. And at that time, if you remember, people were actually gathering for events. So they brought a bunch of reporters and stuff to Apple, not Apple Park. It was what was it? Yeah, Infinite Loop or something. What did they call their campus? Something like that.
One Infinite Loop.
Yeah. So they Apple Watch was the star of that show, and the MacBook. Those are pretty big at the time. They were pretty big introductions. What we know about this event is that there's nothing really that's groundbreaking here. A new iPad Pro, like you say, it'll have a most likely a mini LED screen, at least on the 12.9-inch model. I mean, that'll be nice. Visually, I don't think we're going to see much of a difference because the current iPad Pro display is incredible. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It is the best LCD in the business. It has ProMotion, which is 120 hertz refresh. There's nothing about that display that you could say, well, it could get a little better. Maybe if you compare them side by side, the mini LED will be closer to OLED with deeper blacks and slightly crisper colors. And then but if you're just buying one, it's going to look it's going to look really, really, really good, great. But so does the current model.
Yeah, I'm trying to run this through the Ken Mingus will he buy filter.
Yeah, right. Well, let's keep going. Based on that,
I'm not so sure.
Based on that, I don't think it's worth an upgrade if you have the 2021 or even the 2018 one for that matter. The chip's going to be way faster. The current one has a A12Z, which is basically an A12 with a little bit extra graphics power. It's super fast, but this one's going to have the A14X or the A14Z or whatever it is, which is going to be very close, if not identical, to the M1, which is, as we know, like bonkers fast. Do you need that kind of power in an iPad? I don't know. I mean, I don't.
But if you're doing a lot of video editing, I bet you could use it. You'll save some time.
I mean, sure, but what a lot of video editing are you doing? I mean, there's not. They don't really have the capabilities on the iPad. Final Cut Pro is not.
I need my Word documents in my browser.
Right, well, that's what it is. It's still, even though Apple positions it as the Pro device, it's still not. You're not doing the kind of work that you do on a Mac on an iPad. Right. So you don't need. I don't anyway, and I don't think many people do that M1 power on an iPad. I mean, the apps aren't there. The capabilities aren't really there. So that's number two. Number three big upgrade would be 5G. Again, great, fine, future-proofing, all that stuff. But right now, I mean, A, the 5G networks aren't quite there yet. B, do you really need just cellular networking at all on an iPad when you can just easily tether it to your iPhone, which is usually with you and gets the same 5G if you need it, if you have it. I use my MacBook and my iPad outdoors often in the summertime, and I just tether it and it's fine. Like, it's yes, it's a little bit slower, and yes, it's a little bit wonky and the connection drops here and there, but unless you really, really need to do live video streaming and things like that on your iPad, 5G isn't going to make that huge of a difference. But again, it's nice to have. So those are the three kind of tentpole features that we're looking at for the iPad. Other, kind of smaller-ish upgrades, we're looking maybe Thunderbolt for the, so there's a USB-C port that would stay the same for charging, but it would have a little bit more capabilities for driving external monitors, things like that. I mean, you can hook up a monitor now, but they're somewhat limited. The big things I want to see, and I don't think we're going to get that until WWDC, is in software. Like, for example, if you're going to give me better monitor capabilities, let me expand the screen. Right now, you can only mirror the screen, and it's 4:3. So, like, I use a big, giant, super wide 4K monitor for my Mac. If I hook up my iPad to that, it's ridiculous. Yeah. I'm looking at the same screen twice, and it's all the sides are cut off. I don't understand it, and so that. Maybe that Thunderbolt port would also facilitate changes to the way it handles external displays. That would be nice. And some software changes, but Apple rarely introduces software changes with, product refreshes like this.
Sure.
We are getting 14.5.
I was just going to say, we're going to get, I'm assuming we're getting 14.5.
Yeah, that's absolutely coming, and most likely next week. But that doesn't necessarily bring like the kind of wholesale changes that we're looking for, or I'm looking for. So your question of whether or not you should upgrade from a 2020, based on what we know, I don't think so. I mean, that's not necessarily a knock of what's coming next week. It's more of that.
No. It's what it's saying really is that the most recent version is excellent. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I don't think these changes are going to be, enough to drop another $1,000 or $800 or $1,000 on it if you have a 2020 or even a 2018 one of these newer ones. If you have the first or second gen with the home button, absolutely.
Gotcha.
We're not assuming any price changes either, right, Mike?
I mean, I doubt it. We don't. That stuff doesn't usually really leak, but I would be surprised if it came down, particularly since the iPad Air is $600. If anything, it might go higher. I don't think that's going to happen either. Yeah. I think that what's the kind of no man's land is that 11-inch model. So the iPad Air is a 10.9 inch for $600, and the iPad Pro 11-inch is 11 inches, but it's $800, so it's $200 more, and you're getting it's a faster processor, slightly better screen, Thunderbolt versus USB-C. Assuming all these things come true, 5G versus LTE 4G, is that worth $200? I don't think so. The 12.9 inch model is $1,000, and that's significantly bigger screen, and that's a different use case there. So 10.9 versus 12.9, that's a monster difference. But that 11 inch is kind of it's kind of not doing it for me with now that the iPad Air exists. I would recommend anybody to get the Air instead. I mean, it's a great laptop. It's a great tablet.
Sure.
And it has the A14 chip. It's going to be a little bit slower, but not. It's not noticeable. It's not like running like an A10 or something.
No, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anybody complain about the iPad being slow. I mean, not
seriously. Even if you have like an iPad Air 2 from like 10 years ago, it's still great.
Say, at least any relatively recent model, but even the older, I mean, just the way the apps work, speed is never an issue, or it hasn't been.
I have an iPad Mini from, I think it's a Gen 2 from like 2012, and it's fine. I mean, it lags in parts, and some of the newer games it struggles with, but it's for the most part, they hold up. They're optimized to the extreme with iOS and the chip, and Apple does a fantastic job of making sure those things last.
Nice.
I'm hoping that the new iPad Pros, and we can end this part of it here, but I'm hoping this is setting us up for whatever will be iPad OS 15 or whatever at WWDC, that actually will include a lot of the things you've talked about in the past, Michael, in terms of software changes, tweaks, home screen modernization, everything. So hopefully they get the hardware out of the way, and then we see some serious software updates mid-year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that definitely needs to be on near the top of the list for WWDC is iPad.
Yeah, I know we have talked at length about what you guys would like to see out of the next iPad OS, but I want to talk a little bit about, I guess, whatever you think they're going to be called, AirTags, Apple Tags. I feel like, I know out of you, Michael, I feel like you've been talking about these for a long time, and I feel like I was a genius because last night I opened my Find My app. I ordered delivery for my roommate and me for dinner. And I looked to see where her location was. She was on a run. And I was like, there's a new part of Find My, and you can find physical items. This is crazy. What's happening? And I thought I had a, like, I'm a genius, this is only happening to me moment. I was not. It was happening to many people. And like people have now talked about it. So is that finally happening?
Yeah, that actually Apple announced that, I want to say 2 weeks ago. So what it is right now? I wasn't
paying attention.
Well, that's fine. You don't have to pay attention to these things. That's what we're here for.
That's your job.
I wasn't paying attention either. What did they announce?
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago, Apple announced an expansion of Find My to third-party devices.
Yeah.
So it's limited at the moment. There's a couple of e-bikes, a Belkin pair of they're not what are they called? AirPods, but they're Belkin's version of AirPods, wireless earbuds, and a wireless or a Bluetooth tracking device from a company called Chipolo that I had never heard of. But those are the 4 companies now. That's like a tile tracker type thing.
Sure.
What they are is Apple has released the specs or the specification for Find My in a developer kit, and also the ultra wideband stuff, the U1 chip. So if you're building a product, whatever it is, you can, work with Apple now and build Find My, that capability that we use to find iPhones and you use to find your friends and stuff, into the device. So these 4 devices that are coming out, for example, let's use the e-bike. So there'll be a little button. You pair it with your phone, and then in the app you'll get one of those little blue circles, just like you do with an iPhone or one of your friends, and it'll be your bike. So if you lose it, if you leave it somewhere, you can locate it on your own, and if it's lost, all of the other iPhones around there can pinpoint it that have Find My on. They can help you find it, and then so you'll be able to locate it. Like I said, it's very limited now, but the potential for that is very, very big, because if you're looking at a product and one has Find My, one doesn't, and you have an iPhone, that's definitely a reason to buy the one that does. And it's also seemingly if there is some, it's a very small cost to developers, because the products that are coming out now aren't any more than the ones that were out previously. For example, the e-bike is the same bike, same price, same everything. It's just the ones that were bought after, I think it was April 8th, now have Find My. The ones that bought before that don't. So that's a huge selling point for that capability. Now, the reason why we're talking about this is because that's what we thought AirTags were going to be.
That was my genius moment. I was like, I know that we're talking about this tomorrow. How serendipitous. I'm seeing if my roommate is going to be home soon, so I can figure out if I should like put her dinner in the fridge or not. I had a moment of genius. I was like, this is laying the groundwork for the AirTag. And I guess in some ways it is, but maybe I wasn't as...
It's opening a huge door. I mean, you think of the number of products that come. I mean, I'm thinking Find My Kid, Find My Dog, Find My Car.
Well, yeah, all those tags you can put on anything.
Right.
So there's one that's out. They say it's shipping in May. We don't know the price, but probably $30 or $35, something like that. I somewhat ironically, it's a circular device. It looks exactly like the AirTags that we had. Not exactly, but it's that size and shape. It's a small little circle about the size of a $50. 3 or 4 millimeters thick. It has a little keyhole thing on it, so you can attach it to your keys or attach it to a dog collar in your instance. And assuming it works the same way Tile does, which is pretty effortlessly. You put it on something, you pair it once, and that's it. The AirTags are going to be somewhat irrelevant unless Apple can have some kind of a eureka moment. Maybe it's MagSafe. Maybe you pop it on the back of your phone and it recharges. Like, that would be very cool. That would be a reason to buy it. Maybe, I don't know, there's something with the ultra wideband that we haven't thought of. That would be cool, because what ultra wideband does, if you have an iPhone 12 or 11. Like, not only will it say your bike is in this location, it'll give it like up to the foot precision.
It's exactly where it is.
Yeah.
Not vaguely in this area or in this house.
Right.
It's
not
like,
in right.
It's right
not in
there.
this like this block. It'll be like it's in front of this door, and you can like walk right to it. Or even if you lose your remote, your Siri remote, in that, if they have one of those on there, it would tell you like it's in the couch cushion. Like it's that precise, which is cool. So there are things that Apple can do to set AirTags apart from the competitors. But the other thing is, now that this Find My thing is out there, as we see with like made for iPhone stuff, like it could take off. And Apple's AirTags, say they're $30, there could be 15 different versions that are $10. And then, you get into a pricing thing. And so I think that the Find My stuff is awesome. I'm less intrigued for AirTags though, because I'm more intrigued for this other stuff.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I get that. And
but they still might be coming.
Right. I would imagine too, it would be, I'm wondering how long, I should be completely honest, I've never used a tile tracker. What's the battery length?
It's about a year. Those are about a year, roughly.
So you charge them and they last for a year?
They last for a year. You don't even have to charge them. It's the battery, because it's so low energy. The Bluetooth low energy is so,
gotcha.
It's so infrequently used that they last for roughly a year.
Okay. I was going to say, like,
you don't want to be throwing things, like if you're paying, I mean, the Tile, I don't know how popular they are. I assume they're pretty popular, the Tile, because they've been out for a while. They've been, they're the name. But you're tossing things out after a year. They have like a recycling program. You can send them in and they'll send them back. They'll give you credit and all that stuff. I don't think Apple would do that because of the e-waste stuff. They're very conscious about that. So a rechargeable AirTag, particularly one that's magnetic, pops onto that little puck or pops onto the back of your phone, something like that. That would be very cool.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, like, if you're attaching one, if you've got a dog who has the habit of jumping over your fence or running through your electric fence, whatever, obviously this would make a lot of sense. You probably want to put one of those on your dog.
Yeah,
but also
cool.
You don't want to charge it all the time. Like, it's not like, oh, it's nighttime, I need to go charge my dog's collar because it has my AirTag on it. But you want that to last for a while.
So yeah, like if let's say a charge held for like 6 months or 3 months, like that's acceptable.
That's crazy.
That's fine. Yeah.
Well, like I said, they don't really do anything most of the time. They just kind of sit there until you need them to do something. And even when they do something, the Bluetooth is so low energy that it's not using a ton of the battery. That's
I just wonder, and this is thinking maybe dark mirror on these things, but I also wonder if they could be used for less than good purposes. I mean, like, could you track somebody? Could you like slap one of these on somebody's car and track them? If I were,
yeah, sure. I mean, you could do that now if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're a private detective and you're trying to, whatever.
I mean, absolutely.
That's the enterprise play, is for for private investigators.
Private detective IT. That's what we're all about these days.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like with anything that's going to be tracking related, definitely there can be a malicious element there. But is that kind of it? So maybe, I guess, I know, Ken, you mentioned like the potential of probably not an Apple Silicon iMac. I don't know, Mike, if you chimed in on that. What are your thoughts about it?
I mean,
next week.
I understand. I'm kind of on both sides of the fence here. On one hand, I do think that it's probably coming, this iMac that we know is coming. M1 iMac, total redesign, all that stuff.
Right.
Probably coming closer to the summertime. However, in the past, Apple has used the spring to launch new iMacs. And if you do it at WWDC, it gets overshadowed by everything else that's coming out. At a consumer-focused spring event with, some not so exciting tangible things, that would really give the iMac its place in the sun, if you will, which I think Apple would want to do, because from what we read, this is a big deal. We haven't had a new iMac in like a decade. I mean, we've had new ones, but nothing like groundbreakingly different. So what they're talking about with, slim bezels and colors maybe, and new ports, and obviously
the M1X chip.
Yeah. There's a lot here that Apple would want to sell and give its own kind of show. Now, they might not be shipping immediately. That could be, they could take this opportunity to show us the iMac, but say they're shipping in May. That could happen, or we could not get it at all. But So we ran an article on Macworld. I found this thing on Twitter. Somebody took the that little spring like looking Apple logo that's on the event invite. The graphic. That's the word I was looking for. Graphic. They kind of twisted it and rotated it, and it fits over the, that original hello that Apple, the script hello that Apple wrote on the for the original Mac, and then they later reused it for the iMac, the G3 iMac. That, if you kind of twist and rotate and flip the spring, it fits over that really nicely, the E and the L. Did Apple do that intentionally? I doubt it. But it's something it's a curious, fun little kind of Easter egg hidden inside the thing. And I could see Apple doing something like that, like the things on the screen, and it kind of turns and twists and morphs into, who knows? I will say this. If all we get is an iPad AirTags, maybe a refreshed something for the AirPods,
Apple TV,
maybe, like, I don't know if any of that's all that exciting for a full event. I mean, Apple could have released any number of those things just on the website.
The press release,
sure.
In the past month or.
That's probably the best argument for a possible surprise iMac that there is. But we haven't seen. Wouldn't we be seeing something out of the supply chain? Some leaks?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Macs. Apple's not making 50 million Macs.
Okay.
Like the iPhone is really hard to keep under wraps because they have to get it started months in advance, and they're making a zillion of them.
Yeah.
Macs are, we do read stuff, and we have read stuff about the iMac. We know what's there, and we know. But as far as all of the production stuff, it's like the plants are different. Like they're not going to these giant Foxconn plants to do iMacs in 6 months early because they don't need that volume. So it's possible that we don't get leaks or the same type of leaks that we do for a perfect example is the M1 Macs. We didn't really know what they were going to be until they came out. It turned out that they were nothing and they were just new processors, but we didn't really know. Or even back when we'll go back to that Spring Forward event, when that MacBook came out, that was a surprise. MacBook Air, that was a surprise. Apple has traditionally been able to keep Macs a little tighter to the vest, or whatever that expression is, because of the way they're produced and because of the volumes that the numbers that they need to make for them. So it's possible that we get one and it really is like, oh, we haven't seen this before. Like we haven't actually seen the leaked product yet, but we have an idea of what it's going to look like.
Fingers crossed. I would love to see it.
It would be cool. I mean, I probably wouldn't buy one. I don't need one. But I definitely want to see a new iMac because iMac is the thing. iMac's Apple's thing. Everybody makes laptops. Everybody makes phones. Everybody makes tablets now. Yes, Apple makes better ones than everybody else. But nobody makes an all-in-one computer quite like the iMac still. Other companies have them, Dell and HP, and they're there. The iMac is iconic. I think Apple's most iconic product, even more so than the iPhone, because without the iMac, they were dead. Apple was finished. If that thing fails in 1998, they're done for. And I think Apple is very, very attuned to just how kind of steep the iMac is in its legacy. And I think it would want to give it like, a real prestige event, and not just say, oh, by the way, at WWDC, here's everything, and also we have a new iMac. Maybe I'm wrong.
All right.
We'll know in a week.
Yeah, we'll know in less than a week now. So
That's right,
thank you both so much. I really appreciate you both calling in and chatting. If there is a new iMac, unfortunately, quick programming note, we won't be able to talk about it next Thursday. Ken, Mike, both getting well-deserved week off, but I will be here.
I don't have a week off. I'm here. I'm working.
You're taking a week off from us.
I'm taking a week off from us. Yeah. So I'll be here talking with someone about NFTs. So if you have any questions when you're watching this all the way towards the end, you're like, I've got a burning NFTs question, please do leave that in the comments too. And I'll make sure to add it to my list for next week, but we will be live. So just sadly,
we've been talking about this damn event for like 6 months and we're going to miss the event.
It's Ken's fault. He's the one.
Hey, which I thought I was out of the woods. Who would have thought?
Did you just call me from the beach or something?
I will. If you need to, I'll check in from the coast. Yeah.
No, not necessary. Well, thank you both so much. And thank you all so much for watching this episode Today in Tech. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you are watching on LinkedIn, please do be sure to head over to our YouTube channel, ITG Tech Talk. Same videos also live there every week, a little more interactive on YouTube. And over there, you can subscribe to our channel and then hit the bell icon so you're notified every single time we post a new video. If you have any comments or questions, or we said something and you've got a question on it and we didn't get to it, please do leave that in the comments below as well. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.